Another former Syracuse basketball player, a member of the 1975 Final Four team, which will be honored Saturday inside the Dome when Boston College comes to town. Jim Lee, our guest on the show. Jim, it's always great to talk to you, catch up with you. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, Steve. How about yourself?
We're doing great. And what an honor, first of all, to play in a Final Four, first Final Four in SU basketball history. We'll circle back to that team in a second, but I just want to start with, what does this mean to you and your former teammates to be back in the Dome on Saturday and to be recognized by the university in this way?
It's going to be pretty nice because a lot of times we always thought we were the forgotten team. So it's pretty nice that we've got all but two of us are still here. Unfortunately, we lost Bobby Parker and Larry Arrington a few years ago, and so we're all pretty healthy. But we're looking forward to it because we all got together about 9 years ago, and right after the two of them passed away, figured like let's get together before anybody else does. So we're all looking forward to it, and I just got to hope the weather holds out. Coach Danforth told me that he is going to come as long as there's no snow.
No promises, right? With the no snow. I was going to ask you about that. How much do you stay in touch with those guys? Because that's you guys live through something that it's a once in a lifetime experience, right? And you have that bond forever of you and your teammates went to a Final Four. How much do you stay in touch, and how much have you stayed in touch over the course of the last 9 years since you last met?
Well, a few of the guys, like Stevie Shaw and I, we're real close. We both stayed around. He's in town, so we get together. We golf during the summer. But I stay in touch with most all of them. That's a tough one to say because once you leave, everybody goes their own way, has their own things. But it's something we did together, and nobody can ever take it away from us. And that's the bond that we have, and it's been kind of fun. We've had text messages going between like all of us, just busting each other's chops and doing everything like we did 50 years ago. And
right.
None of us have grown up yet, I guess, but that's the way it goes.
I was going to say, I bet when you do get together, even if you haven't talked in a long time, you just pick up right where you left off, and it's like no time has passed. I bet.
Yeah, I think guys are a little different than the girls are sometimes, because we don't have to see each other. But you're right, we just pick up just like we left each other a week ago.
Right. Take us back to that. It is 50 years ago now, but what do you recall from that team? What comes to mind when you think about that run you guys went on? In the winter and spring of 1975.
Well, the one thing is, I think we were a team. We played together. We all got along well. We did things together, and we had our bumps and bruises along the way that year. We lost a few games we shouldn't have. But the good thing about you're supposed to get better as the season goes on, and we learn from our mistakes. And most of the games at the end of the year, we won all the close games, which we weren't winning during the middle of the year. So we learned. We kept getting better, and it's something that none of us will ever forget. I mean, and especially, obviously, the media back in the 70s isn't how they'd, get ready for this event. Nowadays, it's like a circus production for like 2 or 3 months leading up to the tournament.
Sure.
So, but no matter what, it's still the same thing, just without all the glitz and the glamour.
Yeah. And back then it was you had to win 3 games to get to the Final Four instead of 4 now, and 5 to win a national title instead of 6 now. But, you said that you guys were winning the close games at the end of the year that you weren't at the beginning of the year. To that point, your NCAA tournament run, overtime win over LaSalle in the opener. Next game in the regional semis against North Carolina, ranked 6th in the country. You win that one by 2. You play Kansas State next in the Elite Eight. You win that one in overtime. So, you really were winning those close games. And I think the one that jumps out to everybody is that win over North Carolina. They were 6th in the country at the time. Again, what comes to mind for you when you look back on that particular game and that particular win?
Well, first and foremost, the thing is when we got to Providence, I think one of the guys on the team was watching the news or whatever the night before the game, and the funny thing is, I think the announcer was going, whoever's doing the news, he goes, well, North Carolina will be playing the winner of Boston College and Kansas State come. And we're just like, what? We're not playing? They never even mentioned them.
Wow.
And then all of a sudden, but we probably played one of our better games ever, and that was one of the best games, that I've ever played. And when you get to hit a jump shot, you dream about that as a kid.
Sure.
When you can hit a jump shot at the end of a game to win it, and I've done that a million times in my backyard growing up. I remember, and then all of a sudden to see it happen, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, of course.
The funny thing is, I've never, and if you can ever find this, with all the footage that's out there, I have never seen that jump shot I made against North Carolina.
Is that right?
Ever.
Wow.
And it would be nice. And I only saw a picture that was in the paper a few years ago, and just a still photo.
Yeah.
And somebody gave it to me, and my kids had a frame, then I put up in the house for me.
Oh, that's very cool. That's very cool.
Nice. But,
all right. Well, we're gonna accept the challenge. Let's see if we can find some video of that jump shot.
If you can, I will be indebted to you forever.
All right. I'll see what I can do. I make no promises, but we will try. Everybody knows that team is Roy Danforth, his last go round here. He leaves right after that, and Jim Boeheim takes over, and then holds the position for almost the next 50 years nearly. Can you speak to, I guess, what it was like playing under Coach Danforth, and I guess what it was like, being around Jim Boeheim at the time? He wasn't the head coach, but certainly, a part of things at Syracuse University.
But Coach Danforth is great to play for, and I don't think the university gives him the credit that he deserves. But I liked his style. I liked his style of play. When I used to come up and watch my brother Mike play, I took notes on everybody that played on Mike's year, and then the following year with Dennis Duval, and just figuring like, okay, can I play here? Can I fit in? Can I? My game plan was to start my sophomore year, and didn't work out that way. I was sixth man sophomore year, but I came to Syracuse because of the way he played, and he was great to play under. To this day, I'm thankful that he offered me a scholarship, and we got to play, and he took us. He basically took us to the Final Four, and I was talking to Mike Waters the other day and just mentioned. I said, you know what? He says, I think he belongs in that Ring of Honor that they got at the Dome. He says, you've got Coach McPherson up there, and I know everybody loved Coach Mack. Coach Danforth's personality was the same as Coach McPherson's, and he said, I know he led them to a couple of bowl games, but Coach D when they were in a down, he had to turn the program around. Took him to 2 NITs, and I believe for his last 6 years, 2 NITs, and then 4 NCAAs, and one of them being the Final Four, which is the pinnacle of what you play for. Similar to like just getting in the NCAA tournaments, like getting into a bowl game, or it used to be. And it's I don't know of anybody that played for Coach D that really didn't enjoy playing for him. And and Boeheim back then in those days was basically like he is nowadays. He never says, he didn't say too much, and just did his job. And he back then you had to play freshman ball when you're there, and I know he was freshman coach when my brother Mike was a freshman, and then when I got there 2 years later, it was Coach Bill Vest who moved on to Colgate, and Boeheim had moved up the assistant. So, but no, it was a joy. It was a joy playing at Syracuse, and it was a lot of fun.
It's been obviously 50 years again, and a handful of Final Fours and a national championship since then. Obviously things have been a struggle this year, and I know you still watch. I know you're still invested. What are your thoughts on this year's team, and on Adrian Autry and where the program is right now?
Well, things happen. There's ups and downs, and I like Adrian. I like Griff. I golf with them in the summertime. I met Dan and Brendan. I like the coaching staff. I did read something where they might have got I'm not a fan of NIL. I'm not a fan of the transfer portal, but that's the way it goes right now. But I did read something from somebody that looked like they probably got a late start with the NIL, and if that's the way the game is going now, then, I mean, which is kind of evident with people are leaving left and right and getting paid. I'm not sure. I mean, it's just there's a lot of good teams out there now, and I think they have to just do different things instead of play straight up man-to-man. I mean, us guys from the old times, I know that the people talk about Boeheim starting the zone, but it was actually Coach Danforth and his predecessor, Freddie Lewis, started the 2-3 zone. So that's always been a staple with us, and we used it a lot because when we couldn't match up because we weren't as big as other people. So I think he's got to do things like that. He's got to, he can play man, he can do that, but he's also got to switch up. I wish he could press a little more because if you're not big enough, sometimes you got to press. And I know back in we played, we pressed almost the whole game. And I did that, I think, sophomore, junior, senior year. So I just think they got to do some different things. Next year, it looks like they've got a lot of good recruits coming in. And, personally, I wish they'd get rid of that. I wish they'd go to the transfer portal. That's fine, but you have to sit out a year. You can't just leave. And I heard something the other day with Gino Oriyama at UConn. He says, call it like it is. It's semi-professional basketball now. So if you're going to pay the kids money, make them sign a contract. The school's got to sign a contract, so do the kids. And you can't just leave every year. And I don't know. I'm not a fan of that, but that's the way it is. Nothing you can do about it.
So we may have some good news for you. As we were talking here, Jim, Paulie was doing some digging. Paulie, you want to let him know what you found?
There's a website called dailymotion.com, and it has the North Carolina-Syracuse game from 1975 condensed without commercials in full. So I assume your shot is on there.
Well, what's it called again?
It's called dailymotion.com.
Dailymotion.com. I tell you what, when we end this interview, we'll put you on hold. Give our producer your email address. We can forward you the link to it.
Okay.
Was it a jumper along the baseline?
No, it's at the top. I think it's right up towards the corner of the key, right?
Oh, that was the one? Okay.
It's foul line extended.
Yeah,
Steve, you weren't born yet, Steve.
That's right.
I saw it.
So you saw the plates?
I think I saw it. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Syracuse shoots foul shots with 2 seconds left, and they.
Okay. So I think we may have it. I think we may have found it, Jimmy.
If you have it now, I have seen something from that game, and it goes all the way up to that point, but it skips the point where I made a jump shot. It shows the 2 foul shots at the end of the game that Jimmy Williams took, but it doesn't have the jump shot. And the funny thing is, one of my friends had a buddy at North Carolina, and he got a hold of the tape. He goes, Joe, but I got to apologize. He goes, the last 7 minutes of the game, Coach Smith cut it off, threw it away. Says, we're not going to watch the last because they didn't expect to get beat.
Right, exactly.
So I'm watching the thing. It's like all the way up with 7 minutes to go. So but I'm gonna look for it.
Yeah. So we're gonna let you go right now, Jimmy. We're gonna put you on hold. So don't hang up. We'll have our producer get your email address, and we will send you the link. So Paulie's showing it to me right now. Yeah, Paulie. After that, they go to free throws. But my hope is that we have found it for you. I'm really crossing my fingers that we found it for you.
That would be great. I want my kids to know that I actually did this.
Right. It's more than just a story, right?
Yeah.
All right. Well, it was great catching up with you. Enjoy your time on Saturday inside the Dome. And again, we'll get you this link, and hopefully it's what you're looking for.
All right. Sounds good. And tell your father I said hello.
All right. I definitely will. All right.
All right. Take care.
Take care, Jim. Jim Lee, joining us here on the program. I just saw it as well. Yep. I think we got it. He hits the jumper.